The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everybody, we wanted to do a quick webinar on a new release that's coming for HPM and just some of the new functionality that's contained within the release, how it will help you, how you can use it. So my name is Donald O'Neill and I'm the Marketing Manager for Clonwilliam Health. With me today I've Ronan Leonard, our Practice Support Team Leader. Ronan's going to step through some of the functionality that's contained within the new release. We'll sort of ask questions as we go, and hopefully you find it useful. Hopefully it will help you start using it and start benefiting from some of the new things that are in the product now. So without further ado, I'm just going to pass the screen over to Ronan, and he's going to step you through the new product.
Great, thanks Donald. Hi everybody. Okay, so today's webinar is just going to be a quick run through of all the new features in HPM since the last release. There's some nice features in the release as well as some security measures. So it's a nice mix. So we'll go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to go through is password complexity. Basically, we've made some changes here just to sort of be in line with GDPR and just so that you have sort of more secure options for password complexity in the software. Just to highlight that nothing will change on users. There won't be users locked out all of a sudden. This is all very passive insofar as it's only if you're adding new users now or if you're resetting current users' passwords. All your normal credentials that you have currently will still work. So basically what it is I'll just add a new user now and I'll show you what the complexity is. So we'll just type in test here and we'll put in a password of just say 5 digits, 5 or 6 digits. And if I try and save that, it's obviously missing other options, but if I hover over here, it actually gives us the complexity that's required. So it requires at least one lowercase character, has to be a minimum of 12 characters, it has to have one special case character, and it has to have one uppercase character. Okay, it's a good thing. It needs to be done to protect obviously the system and the data, and it's good to kind of implement complexity of this nature. So that's that.
Yeah, and I think just to add to that, Ronan, that take this as an opportunity as well to sort of tidy up your old passwords and just have a quick review of the passwords that you're using. What we would really recommend is try and make them as complex as you can, but that you can still remember them. And what I mean by that is don't have a password that is password or that's the address of the practice or something like that. And
yeah,
a tip that we would always give is, use a passphrase maybe on a password, some sort of phrase that stands out to you. It might be something you say regularly, or it could be a lyric from a song, but really the more complex the better, because you don't want your password to be something that can be easily guessed or broken, because you've so much data there that you need to protect it.
Exactly, and it's going to be a good exercise. I think it'll get a lot more people on board, I think, because it's kind of the functionality is there now,
Yeah.
So just to add on, that's us finished with that. So just to add on from that as well, I just wanted to go through a quick thing. I'm not going to demo it. There's been a change made to a particular user account in HPM, and it's the PM user. Now that PM user exists in the program out of the box, and it's a user that we would use to log into the system to perform support tasks for customers when they call in, or to help them out with things. And it's also used in various procedures in the background, like the drug update and system updates. Now, what's happened over time is that some users are using this account and they might have reset the password or even changed the username, and that the most popular one actually, Donald, is they make it inactive because they don't recognize that user. Yeah. So basically it's not overly prevalent, and it's no real issue, but it's just it stops certain procedures from working, and we can get in then and reset everything and it'll work, but it's just kind of just to save time and
hassle,
keep that exclusive from users, so in this release that user has two-factor authentication that only we can give.
Okay.
So you will know if you have been using the PM user, because now when you try and log in you'll get a pop-up saying two-factor authentication is required.
Okay.
So the best thing to do if you are using the PM user, I would just create another user for yourself. You can give it the same role, practice manager role, with all the same, accessibilities and stuff like that. It just means you're not using this out of the box PM user that ships with the product.
Sure, and the best way to know is if you're using it is if you're logging in with PM. Is that sort of the way you'd
Exactly.
identify it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
And the thing is, as well as you may not know. In some cases, you may not know because somebody might have changed the username.
Okay.
But we will alert you anyway. If it is an issue, we would have always called the site in the past. I'm sure there's some sites that will remember us calling saying we needed to reset the PM password.
Sure.
We will know because if we're trying to push down a drug update or if we're trying to do something and we can't log in or we can't see the PM user in the list, we would know. Now you'll notice that it's not on this list here that I'm showing on the screen. It's because it's hidden from the list now.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
So that's another measure as well. It's just going forward that will be hidden from the list.
Okay.
So that's that. So we'll move on then. I just want to go through a couple of new features around kind of referrals of various types. We'll start with electronic referrals first. So there's now the ability to attach files in certain general referrals. Not all departments allow it, and it's driven by HealthLink. So I'll just show you. It's probably make more sense if I just show you. If I click on electronic referral, and we'll go and select general. Click on add. Now, you see if I scroll down here, you'll see file attachments not allowed. Okay. Now that's there by default because I haven't actually selected a hospital yet. Okay. So depending on the hospital that you select, that will change. So I'll just use the Matter. That's fine. And we'll use cardiology. And now you'll see, Donald, if I scroll down here, 3 file attachments are allowed. Okay. And it's a max of 4 meg per file. Mm-hmm. And when you click attach, what it actually does, Donald, is it brings up the document section of the patient's chart. Okay. Which is great. Yeah, and you select whatever you want to attach, and in it goes into the lab, which is handy. It's been a request for a while, and it's a really good feature. Yeah. So they've allowed it.
And Ronan, would that be the same for private hospitals in that some will accept them, some won't, or
yeah, it's entirely. I spoke to a test in here because I was curious myself. The new feature was there, and then I saw not allowed. I was like, why is it not allowed? And I actually asked them, why would you put a new feature and then not allowed? So I mean, it's driven based on this list comes back from HealthLink, and basically that setting is driven by whatever is allowed by the hospital in question. That's my understanding of it. So if it says it's not allowed, it means it's obviously checked the hospital and come back with a 0 or a 1 based on whether that's not allowed or allowed.
Okay, interesting.
Okay. So also while I'm on this screen, there's an OK and cancel button here before. It wasn't there before. Okay. So that used to be just general, or that used to be just next or submit, as far as I can remember. But there's an OK and cancel, so you can back out of it there if you want. So we'll just close that. So while we're there, we'll move into Aphidia as well, Aphidia referrals. So I'm going to open this patient's chart, and I'm going to open a referral. Now I'm not going to send this because it's a test patient. So this didn't used to do this before. It now populates the GMS number by default, so you don't have to go typing it in.
Very good.
Okay.
Excellent.
And then you hit next, and you hit your appointments as normal. Okay. Cool. We'll just go back to electronic referral again, and I just want to do another general just to show you one more thing there. So, actually, sorry, not general. As you can see, in general, there was always, I'm going to open it up here again just for a second. There was always a public and private option in just the general referral. That's also now in, if I go into breast, it's also in breast, prostate, and lung. Okay. So if I click on breast and click add now, it's been brought in there. You'll see that the option is there. Okay. Now, neither is auto-populated if there are hospitals that fall into both categories.
Sure.
Okay. Public is the default option if there are no private hospitals for that type of referral. Okay. So you can see that there's obviously hospitals in the list here are obviously both public and private. So the system isn't going to assume you want to do either. It's just going to do nothing. Okay. And you select, as you can see, if I select private, you see there's different values.
Sure.
Okay,
And I think as
so
well, it's
that's
just important to add that we are kind of adding to the list of private hospitals that are in there all the time. I think the latest two are the Santry Sports Clinic and
yeah.
St. Francis Private Hospital in Mullingar. But just to be aware that, it mightn't have been there the last time you checked, but it is worth having a look to see.
Yeah, it's always worth kind of having a look to see, because it's always updated by in some cases us, and in most cases HealthLink.
Yeah.
You might have noticed there in my list here, when I open that up, it's slightly different to what's on live. That's because we're connected to the HealthLink test system.
Sure.
So they're always testing and kind of bringing new hospitals online. So it's always worthwhile just checking if you're unsure.
Great.
Okay. So we'll move from there then into our cycle of care. And I'm going to go into tasks and into claim tracker. Okay. And what you'll see in here is this is our normal claim tracker. There's a couple of things here I wanted to show. So this is new. Open the patient's chart, which is really handy. So if you wanted to actually check why it's rejected or go into the chart for whatever reason, you just click on open chart and it'll bring you into the patient's chart, which is a new feature. And while I'm actually in here in relation to the cycle of care, there's also another feature. Now, Donald, this comes up a bit because it's a little bit complicated, so I'm going to just run through this. So if I go into protocols, cycle of care, and diabetes on this patient's chart, I'm going to highlight this. And I'm just going to click on this just to get my pop-up to come up again. It's fine. And I'm going to create a visit. This here, Donald, current annual period. Okay, so basically, the way the visits work, you give an annual visit. You can only give a follow-up visit, my understanding is after 4 months.
Okay.
4 months after the annual visit. And then once a year has passed, you have to give another annual visit. Even if you haven't done a follow-up, it has to be another annual, otherwise it could be rejected.
Okay.
Right? Now, what we've found, and to be honest with you, it's what I kind of surmised myself in the beginning. You would normally take, okay, my year is from the first visit date. It's actually not. The year is from the registration date.
Okay.
So say if I do a first visit, I register on the 14th to the 9th, but my first visit is the 12th to the 10th. Okay. And I do a follow-up visit. Now the follow-up visit has to be after 4 months and within the year. Okay. So say if I done my first visit was the 12th to the 10th, and then say I done my follow-up visit on the 15th of the 9th, which I would assume is within the year, it will actually reject and want another annual, because it's based off the day and the month of the registration, not the day and the month of the first visit, if you get what I mean.
Okay, and is there any way, what would be the best way to find out the registration date?
Yeah, so if you click in here, if you look down the bottom here, you have PCRS registration, 14th to the 9th. And what you can do is you can click on that little pencil and then hit a quick recheck just to make sure it's right.
Okay, so that's the best way to check it, to make sure that these don't get rejected.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And the thing is, like, this wasn't here before.
Okay.
So this is just to help, just to let you know that this is the annual period.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
If you have done one visit and you're doing a follow-up, and your follow-up visit is falling after this date,
it needs to be an annual.
It needs to be another annual, because you've missed the window.
Okay.
So that's what that's for. It's just to help people out. But obviously, if people have any queries, give us a call as well. But it's just that wasn't actually there before.
I get you.
And it kind of it's a slight bit confusing when you have the visit date and the registration date, and you're kind of in two minds as to which one is the actual one you go off.
Of course, yeah.
So that's that. Now we'll go back into my test Ronan, just because it's got more data in it. So moving off that, now we'll just go into a couple of little small things. We're not far off done now. So the error code field is added to the patient personal details. So it's down here. If you want to put in the error code, you can.
But that's not mandatory.
No,
it's just an optional. Yeah, okay.
It's just an optional. If you wanted to use it, you can. It's not mandatory at all. Also, we made some slight changes to, if we go into tasks, bulk scanning and high volume scanning. Now, a lot of sites use this. Now, there might not be that many sites that actually use the import feature, but it's actually a really good feature, Donald. What it does is it would allow you to scan from another machine, or if you got a batch of JPEGs or TIFFs from in an email or from someone and they're in a folder, you can actually just import them rather than having to actually scan. So we've added, so you click import and you click on this little drop down here and you set your path, okay? And then you set, this new feature here is set archive path. And I'll tell you why this is in. If I click on import now, it'll pop up saying I haven't set a path if I haven't already. And once I've set a path, it will ask me, am I sure, do I want to import 0 files? Now, my path is set to a folder that has nothing in it, so that's why it's set. But it tells you how many files you're bringing in, and it also sets an archive path. I would recommend this also. This wasn't here before. The way this works, and it's the way sort of any import sort of would normally work, is that whatever path you have set, it assumes you want to cut them out of there and bring them into the system. Now, from experience, I've come across it on only one instance where somebody had mistakenly set the path to be the desktop. And they had files on the desktop that they needed, like Excel sheets, all that kind of stuff, and they were no longer there. They were imported into the system. Now, they were able to get them back out, but it's just to be mindful of that, you know? So what I would always, this new feature allows you to actually set an archive path as well. So if you're using this, I would set the path and then set an archive path. So if by accident you've placed a file in this folder that you don't want to import, it's actually still archived somewhere and you can get at it easily, you know?
Okay.
So that's a couple of changes there. Also, we'll move on back into administration and HL7 testing. This is a good one. So in your HL7 test screen now, you have a new ribbon down the bottom, okay? And this is, you're able to filter on various things. So you can filter on all labs that have ever come in. You can filter only the last year's lab and break it down by last week, 3 months, 6 months, etc. The reason for this, Donald, is if a site have been importing for years, this list has that full year's worth of lists loading up, and sometimes it can be a little bit slow. It can take a few seconds to actually load up the screen. So that's a filter put in for that, and also there's a filter here, that tick box unmatched only.
Okay.
If I untick that, you would actually see I don't have any labs that have 0 unmatched.
Sure.
So sites would have a lot that are 0 unmatched because they would match them all religiously. Again, that stops those ones from loading. There's no need for them to load in the general day-to-day because you've already matched them all. You would only want to be showing them if you needed to go back and have a look and see what data lab downloaded because it was wrong or something of that nature, you know? So there's a couple of changes there. You just make your changes, tick the box and hit refresh, etc., etc. If you want the feature, if I go into administration, other settings and machine configuration, there's another little setting here. There's a tick box there. If you wanted to show unmatched only, tick that box. If you wanted to show all by default, untick that box. It's not set at all out of the box. It's entirely up to yourself what you want to do. So you can set that default option there in machine configuration. And it is machine configuration because it means you might like it, someone else might not, so they can change it.
Sure. Yeah, suit yourself. Yeah.
Exactly.
Very good.
Yeah. So we move on to the next thing, which is, again, it's kind of GDPR related in nature as well. So when you're hitting F12, if I hit F12 here in this patient's chart, it brings up various sections down that I can actually print, you know, medications, notes, medical history, all these kinds of things. In the document section in previous releases, if I hit print, or if I highlighted all and hit print, it would go to the default printer. The slight issue here, Donald, was that more often than not, if you're trying to send a patient record to someone, you want to send it as a PDF via health mail or something of that nature. And the way you would do that is obviously you would just print to Qt PDF. You would have a PDF writer set up as a printer. Now, the problem with that is you had to set your Qt PDF to be your default printer. And then when you went to print a letter afterwards, you know, you just had to set your default printer back. And it was kind of a bit of a rig. So what we've done is basically very simple. You hit print, now you get a dialogue.
Very good. Okay.
Okay. print it wherever you want.
Mm-hmm.
So that will hopefully cut down a good bit of time there, you know.
Excellent.
So that's that. And now the next thing I want to go on to now, I can't actually demo this. I might actually see if I can show. I think this patient was in Clown Tracker. It was. I'm going to just open this chart for a second. This is in relation to cervical smear. Now I can't show this because I obviously don't have any live cervical smears or data of that nature. But if I go into protocols and cervical smear, I can just show you what I mean. So, Donald, basically, when smears came back from the lab, if I scroll down the bottom here, there was a button here. There would be a button here, and there still is a button here called View HL7. The slight thing was that because there's so much information here, you might forget to scroll down to have a look at the HL7. Do you know? So we have a little icon here. There's going to be a little icon here called View Report.
Okay.
Now, obviously, it's not appearing there now because I don't have anything back from the HL7. But it just means it's on top and bottom now.
Excellent. Okay.
So you'll pick it up. If it's there, it'll catch your eye, and you go, "Oh, I'll have a look at that while I'm in."
And
so that's
literally, you just click on it and it pops up.
You click on it, and it'll open up a HL7 view. Exactly.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Another thing as well, in the demographic section, if I click back into this patient here and go into patient IDs and highlight anyone, you'll notice this button here, Audit. It's not showing anything now because I haven't changed it, but what this will do is this will show an audit of any changes to any patient ID.
Okay.
If they had a previous number or anything of that nature, and when it was last used.
Okay.
Okay. It's not shown right now because I haven't changed anything there.
Sure.
But it will. So it's just an option that's there for you.
Excellent.
Okay. So that's that. Now, only two left, Ola. We're nearly there. So the second last thing I wanted to show is in the lab screen. Now, again, this is a good one. I want to show you this because this has come up a few times. So there's two sort of methods of kind of managing your labs in HPM. I think I might have run through this before in another webinar. Some sites, in one sense, you don't have to do anything with the software. You can just take your blood and you put a label on a blood bottle and off it goes to the lab. And when it comes back from the lab, it comes back to HealthLink and it's there to match the patient and it'd be set to a status of for review. Okay. Now, there's two schools of thought. Some sites are fine with that and some other sites actually like to instead of clicking on new exam, they change this and they click order exam. Okay. Now, what that does is it will put the exam in the chart blank and it will have a status of awaiting. And I suppose the idea of that is that the site know that they're waiting for a lab to come back. It's a quick flag so that they know. And what happens is when the lab does come back and it gets matched, the system automatically looks for an exam with that name, with the status of awaiting. And if it's there, it puts the results in there rather than creating one on the fly. All right. Now, what we've come across on a few sites is say that happens. Okay, and now it's at a status of for review. Okay, basically there was a couple of instances where users were actually going into the exam and taking a lab again, say a month later, but instead of ordering a new exam download, they were going in here and changing that for review back to awaiting. Okay. Now, what that led to was, if I look at this, so if you think about this exam should have been set to complete, and there should have been a third row with another exam with the exact same name awaiting, because it's a different exam.
Sure.
You know, okay. It might be the exact same name, but it's a different instance. So what that led to happening was basically the lab came back, looked for, say, for example, liver function awaiting, and dropped it in to the same exam. And what you got here was one exam date here, but you might have 9, and then you'd have a /8.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So, and you'd have 26 /27.5. You know? So it was almost like it had gone in twice into the one exam. So what we've done is we've just stuck in a little notification here. If an exam is for review, which means it's come back from the lab already. If it's for review, and if you set it back to awaiting, when you click OK, you'll get this pop-up and say, this exam has results and was marked as review. Are you sure you want to put it back to awaiting?
Okay. Just
so that will just
a sense check, basically. Yeah.
It just alerts you that this exam has results already. You know, if you're setting it back to awaiting, it means that any results that come back from the lab with the exact same lab name will look to be put in there, and they
Okay.
probably shouldn't be.
I
It
get
probably, So it's just to be aware of that one. Okay, so that's that. And last but not least, I'm going to close that down. Actually, I'll go into, if we go into documents and alliance referrals, there's some new hospitals added here.
Okay.
So if I click on the drop down here, there's one in Cherrywood and there's one in Wexford as well. So just be aware of that as well. So that's all I have. As I said, there's a few things in it. There's a good few sort of security measures, and there's some nice little fixes as well. I particularly like the attaching the files in the health link and the filtering the health link out, and the cycle of care stuff where you see the current annual period is good also. There's a good few things in there.
Yeah, definitely, and I think things that will make people's lives easier when they're using the system as well. You know what I mean? Which is great, and hopefully everybody values it as well. That was great, Ronan. Yeah. That was really comprehensive overview, and I think, as I said, look, the functionality we're sort of always trying to add in things that people want to see, and that will make people's lives easier. So
yeah,
hopefully it's of value to people, and hopefully they enjoy it. So thanks a million for that, Ronan. That was great.
No worries. And just to say that we're rolling the release out now. I'm kind of pushing it down automatically. Most sites, I have your name on a list. It'll come to you. You'll come in one morning and it'll just say installing updates.
Okay.
If you don't have it in the next few weeks or sort of into the new year, give us a quick shout and we'll get you upgraded if we haven't done so already.
Okay, brilliant. All right, thanks a million. Okay. Cheers.
Thanks a million.
Thank you. Bye.